we should not relax these conditions uh, because this will again, of course, if for instance, sale of debt, many of our people, including myself, thought that what was the harm in selling debt. This way, the bank can realize funds and then use this to give credit to other people. This now has been proved wrong because when the bank is able to sell debt, it does not underwrite the debt proposal very carefully. You transfer the risk to somebody else, the purchaser of the security, and therefore you have nothing to lose. You can lend as much as you want. There was excessive lending, and then it became a problem because some of the borrowers were unable to repay, and the people who had purchased the securities were in difficulty. So sale of debt, of course, I realized that I was wrong and the Prophet ﷺ was right. So we should not relax the conditions laid down by the Sharia, but try to find solutions for problems that people are facing within the framework of the Sharia. Thank you.
Markfield Institute? Any question from Markfield Institute?
There is nobody there?
No, there is.
No questions.
Do you have any questions at Markfield Institute?
Yeah, we do.
One question. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Chakra. That as you have suggested, many more organizations should be established to promote greater efficiency and enhance transparency in the system. Would not a better governance of the existing system like the AAOIFI and the IFSB will help to ensure the transparency and create an organization that would, be more healthy and to tackle the problems, the current problems easily? Because the creation of new organization might correct the errors, but also, will work in contrast to its purpose, as we can see nowadays, due to the human error, and it will definitely exist. Thank you very much.
Any more questions from
Can he
Markfield
hear me?
Institute?
No. Oh.
Okay.
Well, as far as the IOP and IFSB are concerned, these are primarily regulatory institutions. They provide standards for accounting and auditing, and of course IFSB for banking. But there are so many problems which these institutions cannot tackle. You can't ask these institutions to handle everything. It will become too cumbersome. And so, for instance, credit rating institutions, how can these institutions go and do credit rating of thousands of businesses around the world? It is not possible for them. And also a number of other things that I mentioned. They have to have specialized institutions for that purpose, and only then will it be possible for the Islamic financial institution to make progress in the direction of its vision. So, I mean, the idea is very good that we should not establish too many institutions. We should be economize on this. You are right, but you can't put too much burden also on any one institution. They are specialized institutions, and we cannot perform all the functions. Thank you.
Thank you. Pakistan, please. Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, we have few questions from here. One thing I would like to ask from Dr. Umar Chapra, that he has used the term Islamic financial system in the title of this lecture, but what we find in reality that few financial institutions, mostly banks and some takaful companies and some support institutions, are working mostly in private sector, and no formal government regulatory framework is available in most of the countries where these institutions are working. So can really we call it Islamic financial system, or they are just few financial institutions working without having any interrelationship among themselves? My second question is that Dr. Umar Chapra, because of his position, have observed these financial institutions from close. So I would like to ask his opinion that whether Islamic financial institutions are becoming better from the point of view of Islamicity, or they are diverging from the, you can say, ideal form of Islamic financial institutions. Thank you. One more student want to ask question, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Akbar Liberty from Pakistan. My question is on the answer of Sir Umar Chapra, that Islamic banks, due to high evolution cost and some default risks, cannot issue the loan to poor. They can benefit from the zakah funds. These are the Islamic banks. They are using the name of Islam. How can they say that a poor is not honest and a rich is not honest? Who will default, rich or poor? When they are using the name of Islam, is it criteria of Islam to differentiate between between the honesty of the people on their richness or poverty? Is it not a game that they are using the name of Islam and not issuing loans even to poor, only for the rich people still? Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Pakistan?
Assalamu alaikum, sir. So my question is that,
Yeah, one more question.
yes, sir. Sir, my question is that how the Islamic capital market compete with the internationally in the respect of 0.75 billion of the growth of Sharia compliant funds only in Islamic banking. How they compete internationally? Thanks, sir.
The first question was about the Islamic financial system. Of course, you are right. I mean, I did not cover all aspects of the Islamic financial system, and it is not even possible to do that in one lecture. You can cover it in a whole course. So I was under constraint to cover only some of the very important issues related to the subject. And there are also, in the very beginning, I pointed out that there are many challenges, and it is not possible for me to cover all the challenges, so I concentrated on only a few of them. Of course, we look forward to young men like you to take up the other challenges and maybe write a book or at least a monograph on each of these challenges, and this will be very illuminating. The other question the same person asked is whether the banks are becoming better in terms of their Islamicity or going down. Well, I cannot say because I have not studied the operations of all these institutions, but the general impression seems to be that the hilas or the legal contrivances are being used more and more, and the impression is that the Islamic financial system is becoming closer and closer to the conventional system. This impression may be wrong, but this is the general impression that we find among people with whom we have a chance to discuss the subject. This is not good for the system, because ultimately, I mean, people may lose faith in the system and then say, well, what's the difference whether I put my money in a conventional bank or an Islamic bank? I'm going to get the same kind of reward, which is interest. So we have to try to increase the Islamicity of these institutions, and this can be done by only in only two ways. One is for the people to criticize the banks. The more there is criticism there is, and the more improvement there will tend to be. Also ask these institutions to be more transparent about their operations, so that we know exactly what is going on, and the depositors can approach the bank management and give them their critique. The other thing is for the central banks. The central banks in Muslim countries have in the past been generally secularist. They were not much interested in Islamization of the financial system. And gradually they have moved in this direction, some of them because of the religious orientation of the management of the central bank. Some of them have moved in this direction because of public pressure. And it would be, if they really want, they can help these banks become more Islamic by providing a better environment, establishing the institutions that are necessary, and also in their inspection they can find out the fault of the banks and try to take them in the right direction, and if they don't improve, penalize them. So this is the way we can move forward. How can Islamic capital market compete in the international market? You compete. One way of competing is to be more Islamic. Then all the Muslims who are looking for a better Islamic bank will come to them. The second way of competing is to improve efficiency and quality of service. If their efficiency is great and their quality of service is very good, they will be able to compete. And a third is the cost. If the cost is lower, then of course they will be able to get better. In other words, the depositors will go to them if the rate of return the banks give is higher. And this can be done without much trouble, because the conventional banks at present give a rate of interest which is maybe 1% or 1.5%, something close to it. If Islamic banks give a higher return, which it is possible for them to give, then they will get more business. And the cost, they can lower their administrative costs, and of course they will be, if they are really Islamic, they will have to give a higher return to their depositors, but they will also be able to get a higher return from the users of their funds, because there will be profit and loss sharing. At the moment, in both ways, the borrowers take money and they may make as much as 25, 30, 50% profit, and the banks may be able to get only 6, 7, 8 or 10%, and the banks then give only 1 or 1.5% to the depositors. So the rich become richer and the depositors get less return from the banks, and the banks are also not able to get as much as the borrowers are able to make. I think the Islamic financial system should be able to bring about a better balance between the sharing of returns in the markets. Thank you.